Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Today we are back on the update 1.85 second dev server and we're having a look at a new top rank French vehicle. This is the AMX-10RC. It is an armoured car which is labelled as a medium tank in the game right now, but you will find it in the French tree just after the AMX-50 Foch. So it's actually in the tank destroyer line right now, which is interesting. It's also at 8.3, so you can run it with the B2, which is kind of nice, and also the AMX-50 Supersonic, the AMX-30 DCA, and even the AMX-30 1972 if you felt like it, if you really wanted to up-tier that thing. But you do have a solid lineup at 8.3 with this, and also if we look at aircraft, you could run it with the Baroujan, or the Orugan, or the Aroujan, and then the F-84G if you wanted. So overall you can make a pretty decent lineup with it. It doesn't have to be top BR, you already have the B2, so you have something to run with it already, which is a big plus. The armor on this machine is not great though. What we're looking at is 45mm on this lower glacis. You have a 12mm piece of bulletproof glass, which is sat on the upper glacis, with a 35mm aluminium alloy angled at 55 degrees. This bit is angled at 81 though, so you'll probably ricochet all the time, but in this little flat bit here, you see, well, it's not flat, but you can see it's flatter. At 55 degrees, this is pretty much where to aim if you can't see this bottom bit. On top of this, the armor on the front of the turret is 65mm and also 42mm on the sides, and the turret ring, which you see, if I can just get it here, 20mm. So we're talking about an 8.3 vehicle where its maximum armor is 65mm. This is obviously not going to stand up to pretty much anything, but maybe at least it won't get hull broken, which is obviously a nice little plus. 25mm on the sides as well, plus the wheels, which are 10mm if we get rid of the externals. You're looking at 20, 25, so it may get hull broken. I doubt it though, since it is a armoured fighting vehicle or an armoured car. It depends how you really want to define it. I wonder how the French define it. 25mm on the back, 25mm on the back of the turret, and then 25mm on the top of the turret, with also 10mm in this area above the engine. And also, it seems like there's where the driver sits, you've got 50mm, so that's nice, but there's also some kind of plate under it, which gives you an extra 10 as well, and some slight things on the side as well, so that's lovely too, keeping the driver alive at all cost. Overall, the armor is not good. It's not supposed to be though, it's supposed to be a lighter vehicle, more maneuverable vehicle, so the main things that we are interested in are of course the engine, 280 horsepower for 15.5 tons, not the best, but it is good enough to get this thing around, and also the 105mm Model F2 cannon. So the F2 cannon, obviously a 105 standard NATO gun, and then if you have a look at the shells that it can fire, it starts off with a heat shell, which is very respectable for 8.3, the OCC 105 F3, 350mm of penetration across the board, 30 degrees it's 303, and 60 degrees 174. So even if you get up-tiered, there are not going to be a ton of vehicles that you're going to struggle with penning. You obviously have to aim at some of them, but the majority of the time you'll be completely fine. On top of this, it does get an APF SDS round at rank 2. What is interesting is that it has a number on it. Generally, I don't normally see this number, or at least I can't remember seeing this number at any point, but the number that it has, it is the OFUM or FUM, or PH105F3. This is the smoke shell, which is lovely. On top of this, the APF SDS is the OFL 105F3. The differences between the two is that the heat pens more. The OFL APF SDS is able to travel faster, so it has a higher muzzle velocity, and also when it comes to what type of damage it does or how much damage it does, I would actually say it depends on what you're trying to hit. The heat shells got a big buff about a year ago, and even more of one to make the AMX-30 even better. So with this 105mm, I might actually be tempted to bring APF SDS and also heat, just in case there are targets that I can't pen with the APF SDS. I'll definitely sling heat their way, or dodgy angles. Obviously heat is going to be better than the DS. So overall, you do have a rank 2 modification APFS DS, but it is there is an argument for not actually taking it unless you're going to be long-range sniping in this thing. And if you want a long-range snipe, the gun platform that this has, it kind of makes sense to do so. One of the problems with the 105 is there is no stabilizer on it, so you will have to be set up before you shoot. It also doesn't have any active scouting mechanics. As you can see here, there is no optics, there is no airfield modification? Let's just check real quick. Sorry, airstrike modification, which are two telltale signs of a vehicle which have scouting to them, so that's kind of annoying. So this is just going to be a straight up fighting vehicle. There is no secondary objective with it. So with that said, the rounds that it has are nice for 8.3. It's obviously going to get upticked quite a lot into 8.7, and I think it'll be completely fine at that BR with the rounds that it has. The X-ray view also shows how much crew this has. It has a 4-man crew, so if you knock the turret, it's out of the game. But because of the way that these guys are situated, it's going to be very hard to knock them. You have a driver loader, then you have the gunner and commander. Now, obviously, with this layout in this machine, I would definitely tell you every time to shoot the left-hand side because you'll hit the ammo, and if there are no ammo there, then you take out the gunner and the commander, meaning that it can't shoot back. So whatever happens, if you can see the full tank, you shoot here. Because you'll either knock out the ammo or knock out the legs and kill them. If you want to shoot to the right and knock out the maneuverability of the machine, you can do that too. It's also easier to hit the turret ring, I suppose, and also clipping the top of the driver's head and the loader's nether regions. So, with that said, the killing of this machine is not going to be the hard part. Let's just say that. And at 8.3, you have a lot of machines that have stabilizers. They'll be able to stabilize way before this gun does. So the AMX-10RC, without the stabilizer, it's going to have to be a long-range tank hunter, if anything. Running with the B2 AMX-30, you have two vehicles which don't have stabilizers, and therefore you're going to have to play them in a similar playstyle. The only difference here is that this has a little bit less armor and should have a little bit more maneuverability. It does have what looks like a ready rack in the back of the turret. You've got some shells here, just kind of played around, also some here and here. It is manually loaded, so this 9-second reload rate that you see, if we don't go to customization, if we go to crew and have a look at tank loading, you can get it down to 7.5 seconds. So that's pretty good. The stock reload rate is not the best though, especially for what I would want out of this machine as a fast firing gun. So I could sit in a position, scan the area, pick out a target, hit him once, then hit him again in quick succession. Otherwise, if I don't kill him in one shot, then he will be able to fire back. And what I want is a machine like the 906, where, you pop out, you hit, and if it isn't dead, you hit again, and then you move back in, right? And just keep doing that with the AMX-10RC. That's what I would like to do with it, but unfortunately, with the reload rate it has, that won't be possible to do. It does have some nice skins, though, which is something a lot of these French tanks have, which I'm very happy about. So this is the standard one. It's kind of dull, but the Bicolor Desert, which is the next one, as you can see, wonderful tan on it. And then we have the Bicolor Camouflage, which is just a brown and a green. Looks a little bit like vomit, but it's probably one of the best camos. Then you got the Tricolor, a little bit of light brown mixed in there. Maybe you had some curry earlier. Then you got the basic Desert, which looks very bland, but will work very well. The standard Winter as well. Just these are the two camos that everything gets, so you can actually unlock a camo instead of having to buy them for the Winter and Desert maps we have. And then the 4-rad Camouflage. The 4-rad Camouflage obviously being the blue and black one, or some grey and black, but for me it's blue and black. I think this is easily the best camo. And I really, really, really like this one. It looks like leopard print to me. The French in-game have easily the best camos out of all the nations when it comes to tanks. They have some weird and wonderful ones, just like the British do with like the Chieftain Marksman. But for me, the French take the cake. The other thing to also look at is it has 25.2 degrees per second of turret rotation speed, which is very good for what it is. And also, this machine is amphibious, if you didn't know. know. So there's a lot going on here with this thing. The only key component it's missing, which you would hope it has, would be the stabilizer. Unfortunately, this is not stabilized. So as we go along here, you can see that the gun is definitely not stabilized. Does it mean it's impossible to fire on the move? No, of course not. You can still fire on the move, it's just not going to be as good as other vehicles which are stabilized. I'm thinking of like the Centauro at this time, but 350, millimeters of penetration is nothing to laugh at. It is very much good at on the heat. Would be nice if it was heat FS, but the French heat is still generally pretty good. Whoops. The APF SDS, of course, is the one which does a hell of a lot of damage when it pens. Like if we can just pen this T62, you can just see it goes straight through the whole vehicle and hits the ammo in the back. Something to also note is the maneuverability of this vehicle is very good on the move. It's got nice top speed forward, it's got nice top speed backwards as well, and it gets to it very quickly. So the acceleration for me is something to look forward to. It may be a little bit sluggish before the upgrades, but a lot of vehicles are like that. And just after I praise you, you have to do this. Anyway, the other thing to also mention, this does have hydropneumatic suspension, I believe. There we go. I can't remember which keys I set it to, but you can see that it is moving. Oh, that is that button, okay. So yeah, the hydropneumatic suspension works. And you can get it pretty high, which is lovely. So if you want to get low to the ground with this, you can do. If you just want to push it down, there we go. So we got a low rider. So I think the hydropneumatic suspension is definitely going to be something to look at if you are looking to use this vehicle, because being low to the ground is very useful in these vehicles which do not have a lot of armor on them, and this really does not have a lot of armor. It is a machine that is let's just sort this out, try and get back to normal. This machine, yeah, it's when we talk about it, it doesn't have a lot of armor. It doesn't have a lot of really... Oh my. Oh, sorry, I'm just playing around with the hydropneumatic. I forgot how fun it was, but there we go. I don't think that's normal. I think it's a... Yeah, let's just... There we go. That's near normal. We'll keep it like that. But the... Oh god, I've switched to the other gun. Wait, which button is it? There we go. Fixed it. So it has two machine guns as well, one on the top, one on the bottom. This basically means that it does have some anti-aircraft support, which is lovely. And let's just line up the guns again. I use a numpad for everything. Good night, straight through the upper plate. So yeah, the pen isn't going to be an issue. We do need to get over to the water over here, just so I can show you that this thing does actually float. But the main thing why I'm happy with seeing this is it does, even though for me this isn't the best, this type of vehicle we've seen. I think a lot of the Italian vehicles at their BR are better than it, such as the little prototype armored cars, and also the 6.7 vehicles, I mean, and also stuff such as the Centauros are very good, especially the top one now with its DM33 round. But this is a nice sign to come. Every nation has this type of vehicle, and for me, giving it to the French is first of all a good thing, since they are struggling at top tier with some of their lineups. This could easily slot into a 10-0 lineup, or a 9-7, or even, as I said, an 8-3 or something like that. So that's nice to see. And it could also even be your top vehicle if you wanted to run it like that. I'd personally say it's still better to go down the medium tank line than going down the tank destroyer line. It is kind of odd that this comes after the Foch, because the tank destroyers are nothing like this vehicle. But if you just gave this thing its own line, it wouldn't really make a lot of sense. Maybe the idea is that they'll just split it off from the tank destroyers and just do it like that. That would probably be a thing to do. So instead of making it a vehicle which you have to research the Foch first, maybe just split it off so it would have its own place in the tree. Maybe, I mean, the reason to connect it to the Foch is so you have to research them all before you get there, but I think just from a kind of like a historical point of view, it would make more sense just to push it by itself. The smoke grenades, as you can see, do create a nice plume in front of you, in not really a semicircle but a straight line, and here we go, showing you that this vehicle can go in the water. The problem I've personally found with it though, I'm hitting the D key right now, trying to turn it. You can see that its turning ability isn't the best. It would be nice if I could stick a rudder on the back of this, because it's not working too well, and we are going slightly sideways. But yeah, it's probably better just to use your gun to turn, but it is amphibious, it can go forward, it can go backwards, and it goes at around about 8 kilometers an hour, which is fine. Obviously this amphibiousness is supposed to be used just to try and get across like small rivers or stuff like that, so I'm not too bothered about the turning issue. It is just kind of annoying in War Thunder if you want to use it, especially on the new Vietnam map, which does have areas in the south which this playstyle could be really, really useful. Anyway, this is the AMX-10RC. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.